You thought that love was enough, but then you learned it wasn't. You thought that the deep feelings that had bound you together and propelled you through so many successful years counted for something. You thought that those afternoons on the sofa, cuddled up to trash TV, those holidays on the Med, and those Christmas mornings spent together in bed, all added up to something that was inviolable and permanent. But you were wrong. She left you and you have no idea why. You are distraught, torn apart by torment. You cannot sleep, you cannot eat, you cannot expunge the memory of her from your quaking mind, and worse, you don't even want to. For to do so would be to acknowledge that she has gone, probably for good, and that is something that you simply cannot and will not countenance. What went wrong? What did you do wrong? You were the perfect boyfriend, after all. Breakfast in bed at weekends, toast and marmalade, runs together with the dog on the common on a Sunday morning, the usual dutiful visits to her parents, your parents, everyone's damn parents, shared expressions of love, holding hands while you had sex, cheek to cheek on a boat on the Thames, those intimacies that feel vaguely embarrassing now that her affection has been withdrawn. As though you stole them, like a peeping Tom steals glimpses of a beautiful woman undressing from inside her wardrobe. Did you violate her, or did she violate you? In your confusion and frustration and despair, it's hard to tell. You were happy to let things drift, you see. You were in no hurry, satiated in the present by the opiate of love. You felt no compulsion to plan, no imperative to design a future. For you, today was enough. For her, today was not enough. It may have been fun, but it wasn't enough. You could drift for years like this because you don't want to let go. You have no reason to, after all. Things are going fine as far as you're concerned. And she doesn't want to let you go either. This is where those fools who believe that women are uniformly cold and calculating creatures show their naivety. Because if she loves you, she will stay with you, even though she's not sure that you will ultimately deliver on what she truly wants. She will stay with you to avoid the pain of not being with you. That is, until her suspicion that you will not fulfill her biological requirements reaches fever pitch. At that moment, a crisis arises. This will look different depending on each individual relationship, but the end result is always the same, as predictable as it is disheartening. Love, you see, is not enough. So forget all that nonsense you heard in the movies, in soap operas, in songs, and in sadly ancient-looking 90s sitcoms. Love is not enough. Love is great for now, in the short term, but it is not sufficient to build a long-term partnership on, because, you see, the only point of a long-term partnership, as far as a woman's biological programming is concerned, is to sire and raise children. And so at a certain point, you have to ask yourself if you're in the market for that with this particular woman. Because if you're not, or even if you're unsure, then at some point you will break up. Love is not enough. I love you, but we have an expiration date, she said to me once. She said other things too, along similar lines, but I don't recall them just now. I have a great talent I've discovered over the years for blocking out those conversations and experiences that are particularly upsetting. I suppose I should be grateful for it. We have an expiration date. Why? You don't want the same things as me, she said. I do. I attempted. But even as I said it, I knew that it sounded hollow and weak because it was hollow and weak, because it simply wasn't true. I didn't really want to have a family with her. I didn't want to give up on the life of freedom I designed for myself. I didn't want to stifle my potential with the rigours of domesticity. I didn't want to move to the inevitable suburbs and worry about school fees and painting the spare room and trips to IKEA and keeping the aspidistra flying and all of that. But I might want those things in the future, I used to tell myself those nights, when I slept fitfully, aware that the crisis point was coming, but unsure when or in what specific grotesque form. But wanting to move from boyfriend and girlfriend to committed family unit is, for her, not something that can be left to chance. Wanting those things at some vague, unspecified point in the future is not enough for her. How can it be, when every facet of her biology is screaming out to procreate? You think she can really wait around for some master of deflection to make up his mind. You can't negotiate your way around wanting to have children. You either do or you don't. There is no middle way. There is no compromise position where both of you will be happy. If she wants them and you don't, then someone is going to end up very unhappy about perhaps the single most fundamental aspect of any human being's life. Which is why at some point, if you guys are not on the same page, then your relationship will blow up. There may be infidelity. She may find someone else and toss you to the curb. Alternatively, she might just disappear overnight, leaving you with no clue where she is, nor means to contact her. Or an argument might be confected out of nowhere, an argument that becomes so vehement that before you know it, your ass has been dumped. Or she may just decide to move cities or countries out of the blue. Or any damn number of other things might happen, leaving you off balance and reeling. Men are the true romantics, as Rollo Tomassi writes in The Rational Male, and relationships may feel romantic when you are suffused with delight during that honeymoon phase. But let's be brutally honest. A long-term relationship must facilitate a woman's biological requirements around family, otherwise she must cause it to end in one way or another. And however much she loves you, the end will come, because it must. Again, no room for negotiation here. Love is not enough. Perhaps this doesn't matter so much, since probably a majority of men, in the end, want to have children. But spare a thought for those who don't, or those who are unsure. For these men must always, inevitably, find themselves single, blindsided by love once again, unless they put aside their misgivings and simply go along with what the woman wants. Predictably, this is what happens in a great many cases, and a lot of unhappiness for parents and for children comes about as a result. As men, we need to learn to take the rose-coloured spectacles off and uncouple our relationships from our ideas of romance as best we can. We need to realise that while cuddles and morning kisses and morning sex may feel good, that all of this is governed by the laws of nature, and that nature is cruel and unforgiving for those who don't choose to go along with its dictates. So think carefully about what you want, and keep your eyes open and proceed with caution always. If you'd like a free call with me to discuss your own particular dating situation, then hit the link in the description below. You can also check out my bundle of 11 books about dating, sex and the dating marketplace called Renegade Dating Blueprint. Again, the link is in the description below. See you next time.